My name's Jenna, and honestly, I've always felt like the black sheep in my family. Not because I messed up or caused drama, but because, somehow, doing well for myself made me the bad guy in their eyes. We weren't poor growing up, but money was always tight. I busted my butt to create a better life, something stable, something I could be proud of. I earned a scholarship to a top university, landed a solid job in finance with a great salary, and now, at 30, I'm doing better than I ever imagined. I'm not rich by any means, but I'm secure. I own my house outright. I travel when the mood strikes, and up until not long ago, I was sending my family money every single month just to help out. I never asked for a thank you, and I sure didn't expect anyone to throw me a parade, but I also never saw this kind of betrayal coming. Looking back, maybe I should have picked up on the signs earlier. My mom always had a soft spot for my brother, Tyler. He was the golden boy who could never seem to do wrong, no matter what. He jumped from job to job, never sticking with anything, never really owning up to his failures. Yet somehow he was always trying his best, while I was the one being called uptight or accused of thinking I was better than everyone. And don't even get me started on my sister, Megan. She was the queen of backhanded compliments, always quick to remind me that money doesn't buy happiness, but just as quick to cash the checks I sent when she couldn't cover her rent. Then there was my dad. He just went along with whatever my mom said. He never once called out the favoritism, never once stood up for me. Still, I kept trying. Every Christmas or Thanksgiving, I showed up with presents. I always picked up the check at dinner. Anytime they needed a hand, I was there. Part of me thought that if I just kept giving, they might eventually see me, really see me, and maybe even appreciate me. Turns out, they had a much different way of showing how they felt. It all started at this low-key holiday gathering at my parents' house. We were sitting around the table, eating my mom's usual bone-dry turkey, when I smiled and said, "I can't wait for the reunion tomorrow. It'll be nice to see everyone again." For a moment, everything went still. Then Tyler let out this awkward little laugh. "What?" "The reunion was yesterday." I blinked. "Wait, what?" Megan, sipping her wine like she was watching a soap opera, smirked. "Yeah, it was yesterday." "Didn't Mom tell you?" I turned to my mother, feeling my heart start to race. "You told me it was on the 22th. She gave this casual shrug, not even pretending to be sorry. Oops. Must have mixed up the dates. Mixed up the dates? Really? I wasn't some random distant cousin. I was their daughter. Their sister. And they threw an entire family reunion without me. My aunt, who had been scrolling through her phone like none of this mattered, held it up and showed me a picture. Everyone was there, my cousins, my uncles, my nieces and nephews. Tyler and Megan. My parents. All of them smiling, arms around each other like one big happy family. And me? I didn't even get a lousy text. Tyler laughed and shook his head. "Damn, that's awkward. Guess we forgot to mention it." Megan giggled. "Oops, my bad." LOL. Something inside me just froze. I set my fork down, stood up from the table, and walked away without saying a word. I didn't yell. I didn't break down. I didn't give them the drama they probably expected. I just left. Because right then and there I knew. This wasn't some harmless mistake. They hadn't forgotten me. They had excluded me on purpose. And they were going to regret it. I walked out of that dining room with my head high, keeping my steps calm and steady. I didn't slam the door or make a scene. I didn't give them the satisfaction of watching me fall apart. I reached for my coat in the hallway and stepped outside into the freezing air, letting it bite into my skin while I tried to process what had just gone down. They had planned it. All of them had known. My mom, my dad, Tyler, Megan. Every last one of them had smiled to my face, looked me right in the eye, and let me sit there at that table like nothing was wrong, while they all laughed about forgetting to invite me. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through my messages. Nothing. No missed calls. No texts. Not even a fake little "wish you were here." I wasn't even an afterthought. Just erased. That familiar ache started to build in my chest, but I swallowed it back. For years, I told myself their favoritism didn't sting, that their cold shoulders and petty jabs didn't leave marks. But this? This wasn't some subtle dig. This was deliberate. This was them drawing a line. I stared out at the quiet street, watching snow drift down in the soft yellow glow of the streetlights. I should have just gotten in my car and driven back to my place, cut them off for good right then and there. But I didn't, because a small part of me needed to see just how far they were willing to go. After a few minutes, I took a deep breath and turned back toward the house. The laughter inside hadn't stopped. It was like nothing had happened. I opened the door and stepped back in, hanging my coat as if I'd only stepped out for a bit of fresh air. My fingers were ice cold, but I didn't bother warming them. I wanted to feel that cold. I wanted it to sit deep in my bones, to remind me what they had done. When I walked back into the dining room, no one even paused. My mom was focused on slicing pie, my dad poured himself another glass of wine, and Megan and Tyler were whispering something to each other, grinning like kids with a secret. I pulled my chair out and sat down. Megan raised an eyebrow. "Thought you left." I looked her straight in the eye, my face calm. Why would I leave? It was just a little mix-up, right? She gave me a slow, smug smile. Of course. Just a tiny mistake. Tyler chuckled. You're really blowing this out of proportion. It's not like we did it on purpose. I leaned back in my chair. You all planned a full-blown family reunion. You coordinated food, drinks, decorations. Somebody had to book a place, set a date, get everyone on the same page. I tilted my head slightly. And not one of you thought to send me a single message? They didn't respond. Just awkward glances and tense smiles. My mom let out this exaggerated sigh, like I was the one being dramatic. Jenna, don't do this. It's the holidays. Can't we just enjoy the evening? A simple mistake, I repeated, glancing around the table. No one met my eyes. They were all waiting for me to do what I always did, shrug, smile, and pretend none of it hurt. But not this time. I picked up my fork and twirled it between my fingers, keeping my tone light. You know, I've been thinking a lot about the money I send you every month. That got their attention. Megan sat up straighter. My mom's expression flickered with something almost like fear. Even my dad, who'd been silent all evening, looked up from his plate. Tyler narrowed his eyes. What about it? I gently set my fork down on the table, letting my fingers rest beside it. You know, I just find it kind of fascinating, I said, voice calm. I help cover Megan's rent when she falls behind. I've taken care of Mom and Dad's medical expenses more times than I can count. And I've even sent Tyler money here and there, though I still don't really know what he does for a living. I let those words hang in the air for a beat, watching them sink in before I added, and yet, somehow, I wasn't important enough to be invited to the family reunion. The room went silent. Megan let out this weak little laugh, but it didn't have the same bite as before. Oh, come on. You're not actually upset about this, are you? I didn't say a word. Tyler jumped in instead, scoffing like the whole thing was beneath him. Seriously? You're acting nuts. It was just a miscommunication, Jenna. No one's trying to hurt you. Then he added with a smirk, waving his fork like a conductor in charge of this little circus. Besides, you're doing fine. You've got your cushy job, your big fancy house, your perfect little setup. You don't need some family reunion. And there it was. The jealousy, plain as day. The resentment that had been simmering for years, always tucked behind sarcastic jabs or fake compliments. I gave him a smile, tight, polite, completely hollow. You're right, Tyler. I actually do have a great life. Megan shot me a sharp look. Jenna, don't start. Don't be petty. I let out a soft, almost amused breath. Petty? You mean like organizing a whole reunion and somehow forgetting to invite your own sister? My tone was light, but the words were loaded. Nobody responded. Tyler rolled his eyes so hard I thought they might stick. God, you're being so dramatic. You always twist everything like you're the victim. You'll get over it. You always do. He shoved another bite into his mouth like the conversation was over and he'd just won some kind of argument. That smug little grin told me he thought he was in control. And that's when he said it. "Oh, and by the way," he added, casually wiping his mouth with a napkin, "I already ordered those new Jordans with the money you sent me this month." "You're not seriously thinking of cutting us off over something this dumb, right?" The whole room froze. Mom's eyes widened, her fork stuck in midair like she'd forgotten how to eat. Megan stiffened in her chair, and my dad suddenly found his plate fascinating. Meanwhile, Tyler just kept grinning like he hadn't said something completely insane. "I mean, come on," he chuckled. "You wouldn't do that to your family." And, just like that, I made up my mind. I calmly laid my napkin on the table, folded my hands in my lap, and smiled. "Wouldn't I?" Tyler's grin started to falter. He blinked, clearly expecting me to laugh it off, to make some joke and let it slide. But I wasn't laughing, and I wasn't backing down. The silence stretched on, thick and heavy, like a storm waiting to break. My mom opened her mouth, then shut it again. Megan shifted uncomfortably, gripping her fork like it could anchor her to the moment. Even my dad looked up and actually met my eyes, something he rarely ever did, and I couldn't quite tell what he was thinking. Tyler, though? He just snorted, trying to save face. "Oh, come on," he said, his voice forced and cocky. "You're not really serious." I tilted my head slightly, watching the confidence drain from his face. "You really think I'm going to keep sending you money?" I said slowly, "after the way you all treated me?" Megan gave this panicked little laugh. "Jenna, come on. You're blowing this out of proportion. Tyler didn't mean it like that." "Oh!" I leaned in slightly, resting my elbows on the table. "Then how exactly did he mean it?" Tyler sighed loudly and tossed his napkin onto the table. "Jesus, you are so sensitive. You act like we committed a crime." "We just forgot, okay?" "You're making it into some huge drama." I nodded thoughtfully. "Right. Just a harmless little mistake." That's when Mom jumped in, her voice dripping with that over-practiced sweetness she always used when she wanted to sweep things under the rug. "Jenna, sweetheart, we love you." "Of course we do. We're family." She reached out and placed her hand over mine like that could fix it. "Let's not let a simple misunderstanding ruin that," she added gently. I looked down at her hand, then up at her face, the same carefully arranged mask she always wore whenever she needed to act concerned. The same one she used when she ignored my pain, brushed off their comments, or pretended like I was imagining all of it. That was the moment I saw the truth. They weren't sorry. Not for forgetting me. Not for excluding me. Not for years of treating me like I was second best. They were only sorry that I wasn't rolling over like usual. That I was finally standing my ground. I slowly pulled my hand away. "You know what I've realized?" I said, my voice steady. "I've been used. And I'm starting to wonder how different this conversation would be if I hadn't been sending you money every single month." My father cleared his throat, like he was going to say something. I raised my hand. "Don't. Just don't. Would any of you even care right now if I weren't basically your personal ATM?" No one answered. Megan actually looked offended. "That's not fair. We care about you." I let out a quiet laugh. "You care about what I do for you. There's a difference." Tyler rolled his eyes again. "Oh my God, here we go. You always have to make everything about you. Maybe we didn't invite you because we didn't want to deal with this exact kind of drama." I lifted an eyebrow. "Then good news. You won't have to anymore." The mood in the room shifted. The atmosphere got heavier, like the oxygen had thinned out. Mom's face tightened with unease. Dad stared down at his plate like it might save him. Megan pressed her lips into a hard line. And Tyler? He just laughed like I was telling a joke. "Oh, please," he scoffed. "You're not gonna cut us off. You're too soft for that." I gave him a smile that didn't reach my eyes. "I guess we'll see." That wiped the smirk right off his face. I stood up, smoothing the front of my dress, and grabbed my purse from the back of my chair. Suddenly, all eyes were on me, like I was about to light a fuse. "Jenna, Mom said quickly, her voice rising in panic. Don't do this. We're family. You don't just walk away from your family. I turned to face her, my expression unreadable. Funny, you all turned your backs on me a long time ago. Then I walked toward the door. Wait, Megan shouted, scrambling to her feet. You're not serious, right? You're not really cutting us off. I opened the front door, and the cold air came rushing in, slicing through the stuffy heat of the house. I glanced over my shoulder, my voice calm and clear. Enjoy the shoes, Tyler. Then I stepped outside and pulled the door shut behind me. I hadn't even reached my car before my phone started buzzing. Mom. I let it go to voicemail. Then Megan. Ignored. And of course, Tyler. I laughed quietly to myself as I slid into the driver's seat. That didn't take long. Before I was even out of the driveway, the first text popped up. Okay. Uh-huh. Very funny. You made your point. Can you send the money now? I rolled my eyes, switched my phone to silent, and started driving. The road home was quiet, the kind of peaceful that had always felt out of reach. For the first time in years, I wasn't carrying the weight of being the good one. I didn't have to be the peacemaker, the giver, the one who sucked it up and smiled through it. I was finally done. But then? Oh, they were just getting started. By the time I walked through my front door, my phone had lit up like a Christmas tree with messages. Megan had sent one of her classics. Jenna, don't be so dramatic. Family is family. Mom chimed in with, you don't mean this. We raised you better. Dad, who rarely texted more than a couple words, kept it simple. Call your mother. And then there was Tyler. Of course, there was Tyler. The guy who supposedly didn't care enough to invite me to the reunion had suddenly become the most talkative of them all. His messages came in fast, one after another, mocking at first, as expected. You're really cutting us off over this? Unreal. Then, the sarcasm. What are you gonna do now? Blow all your money on candles and throw pillows. And finally, the predictable swipe. Fine. Be petty. Whatever. But then, I saw it. The shift. Hey, okay, listen. I kind of need that money. Like, soon. And there it was. I smirked to myself. Here we go. I ordered some stuff thinking you'd send it this month. Oh, so now he was admitting it. It's not just the shoes. I maybe got a new TV too. I raised an eyebrow, sipping slowly from my tea. And a PS5. And a laptop. But I had it planned, okay? Your transfer was supposed to hit today. Ratch, come on. I kept scrolling, my thumb moving slow and steady like I had all the time in the world. You're seriously not answering? This isn't funny. They're gonna charge my card tomorrow. Jenna, I don't have the money to cover it. Do you want me to go into debt? I nearly choked on my tea, the laughter bubbling up uncontrollably. Oh, this was rich. Tyler wasn't just annoyed. He was in actual trouble. The man who strutted through life with that smug confidence, because he knew I'd always come through, had finally stepped out too far. He'd spent a bunch of money he didn't have, banking on me to bail him out like usual. But this time, I wasn't playing that role anymore. Then the screen lit up. Incoming call from Tyler. I let it ring. And ring. Another call. Then another. Eventually, a short and snappy message popped up. Pick up the phone. I didn't. I just sat back on the couch, staring at the screen, a slow grin spreading across my face. For the first time ever, I was the one holding the power. They thought I'd fold. They thought I'd let them guilt-trip me again. Twist it all around and somehow make it my fault for overreacting. But they forgot something important, probably the most important thing. I was done being their ATM. And Tyler? He was about to learn exactly what that meant. I tossed my phone onto the coffee table, stretched out on the couch, and let myself breathe, really breathe. It felt like peace. Actual, real peace. Let them stress. Let them scramble. I wasn't going to be their safety net anymore. And the best part? They had no idea how to handle it. Tyler had always been careless with money. But this? This went way beyond reckless. He'd loaded up his credit card with big purchases, thinking I'd just quietly pay for them, no questions asked. A new TV, a PS5, a laptop, and that was in addition to those flashy sneakers he bragged about earlier. Knowing him, he probably went for the most expensive models available, assuming it didn't matter because I'd foot the bill. But now reality was catching up. Hard. I put my phone on silent and flipped on the TV, hoping to settle into a quiet evening. But I hadn't even chosen what to watch before my phone lit up again. Another call from Tyler. Then another. Then another. He was relentless. I ignored them all. Then, finally, a new message popped up, this time from Mom. Jenna, call your brother. Now. I let out a dry laugh. Oh, now she cared. Funny how quickly things changed when it wasn't convenient for them anymore. Another message followed. This is serious. He's in trouble. You need to help him. I casually took another sip from my drink and leaned back, letting her words sit there. And then came Megan. Okay, look. I get that you're mad, but you've made your point. Can you just send the money now? He's freaking out. I grinned. They were cracking. Then Tyler again. Jenna, if you don't send the money tonight, I'm screwed. Do you get that? I can't cover this. Oh, I got it. Loud and clear. I waited another 15 minutes, ignoring the flood of texts, until one came in that genuinely made me laugh out loud. Jenna, please. There it was. The desperation. I let it sit. Let him stew in it for a bit longer. Then, finally, I picked up the phone and dialed. He answered on the first ring, breathless. Finally. Jenna, what the hell? You've been ignoring me all night. I leaned back, totally relaxed. Yeah, I saw your messages. I was just busy. Busy? Doing what? Relaxing, I said simply. He made a noise of frustration, like I was the unreasonable one here. Jenna, this isn't funny. You don't get it. No, Tyler, I said, voice calm but firm. You're the one who doesn't get it. He fell silent. You just assumed I'd keep covering you, I continued. You didn't even ask. You just went ahead and bought all that stuff like it was already paid for, like I was obligated to bail you out. Again. Still nothing. Then, finally, a scoff. Come on. You're really this pissed over the reunion? It was a dumb mistake. Big deal. But now you're punishing me for it. I shook my head. No, Tyler. This has nothing to do with just the reunion. It's about everything. I'm done being treated like a bottomless wallet. I'm done being ignored. And I'm done being used. He raised his voice. Used? You're so dramatic. It's not like we're stealing from you. We're your family. You have money. It's not a big deal to you. And there it was. The entitlement. The expectation. The blind audacity. I laughed once, sharp and short. Wow. You really don't get it. Get what? He snapped. That you're being unreasonable? No, I said, my voice ice cold now. That I don't owe you anything. He went quiet. I could hear the disbelief in his breathing. I was helping because I wanted to, I said. But I don't want to anymore. You can't be serious, he breathed. Dead serious. Jenna, you can't do this, he pleaded. I already spent the money. I can't return everything. Not my problem, I said, flat and even. You don't get it, he shouted. They're going to charge my card at midnight. My account's gonna overdraft. You're just gonna let that happen. I didn't say anything for a moment. I wanted him to really feel it. Then I answered, calm and certain. Yes, I am. He let out this half-laugh, half-joke, like he couldn't believe what he was hearing. Jenna, please. Just this one last time. Just send it, and I swear I'll never ask again. I sighed, not out of exhaustion, but out of finality. That's what you said last time. And the time before that. And the time before that. This is different. No, it's not, I said, cutting him off. It's the same story, just another chapter. You made a reckless choice, thinking I'd fix it. But I'm not cleaning up your mess anymore. His voice cracked, Jenna, please. And for a second, I almost felt something. Maybe guilt. Maybe sympathy. Almost. But then I remembered all the years I'd been the outsider. All the times I was ignored. Laughed at. Taken for granted. So I stood my ground. You'll figure it out, I said. Good luck, I said softly, then ended the call. Within seconds, my phone was vibrating again. I didn't even look at it. Just let it buzz. Then came a message from Megan. What did you say to him? He's freaking out. I didn't respond. Mom followed up with her own guilt trip. Jenna, you are being cruel. He's your brother. You have to help him. No. No, I didn't. And then Tyler sent one more. You're gonna regret this. That one actually made me smile. I powered off my phone and headed to bed. Let him spiral. Let them all sit in it. Because for once, I wasn't the one losing sleep. The next morning, I woke up feeling light, peaceful, refreshed. The moment I turned my phone back on, it blew up with notifications, missed calls, unread messages. From Tyler, from Megan, from Mom. One after another. All of them trying to get me to cave, to break, to go back to being who I was before. But that person didn't exist anymore. I had already made my decision. I wasn't going back. I took my sweet time getting out of bed. Made myself a warm breakfast. Poured some coffee. Sat down on the couch and started scrolling through the messages as I sipped. Most of them were exactly what I expected. Guilt trips, complaints, veiled threats. And then I saw it. Jenna, I swear to God, if you don't send the money, I'll come to your house myself. My eyebrow lifted. Oh! We're threatening now? A few moments later, another message, this time from Mom. Tyler is on his way over. Please just talk to him. I set my coffee down with a sigh. So that's how they wanted to play this? All right then. Game on. About an hour later, right as I was finishing up some work, the doorbell rang. I didn't need to check. I already knew who it was. I opened the door to find Tyler standing there, and he looked rough. Hair a mess, shirt wrinkled, eyes sunken with dark circles. Clearly, he hadn't slept much, if at all. Jenna, he said, trying to steady his voice. We need to talk. I crossed my arms, leaning casually against the doorframe. Talk about what? I thought I made everything pretty clear last night. His jaw clenched, but he tried to keep calm. Look, I messed up, okay? But I need your help. Just this once. I tilted my head. You mean like the last, just this once? Or the one before that? His hands balled into fists. Come on. You have the money. It wouldn't even make a dent. I let out a dry laugh. And that right there is the problem, Tyler. You think my money is just yours to fall back on. Like it's owed to you. He dragged a hand through his hair in frustration. Jenna, I don't have time for this. The charges are about to hit my account today. I held his gaze. And I just want you to take responsibility. For once. His expression darkened, twisting into something bitter. This is all because of the reunion, isn't it? You're being petty over a stupid party. I laughed. It came out sharp and effortless. Oh no, Tyler. This goes way deeper than that. He was breathing heavily now, on the edge of losing it. So you're seriously not gonna help me? Nope, I said simply. His hands were clenched tight at his sides, nostrils flaring. Then something in him snapped. You're just a selfish brat, he hissed. You think you're better than us because you have some money? Newsflash, Jenna, you're not. You'll always be the pathetic little sister trying to buy respect. And when you lose all that money, don't come crawling back to us. We won't care. I didn't even blink. I smiled. Calm, steady, unbothered. Good to know, Tyler. Now get off my porch. He stood there, staring me down, waiting for me to break. But I didn't flinch. After a few tense seconds, he let out a bitter little laugh and turned on his heel. Fine. Whatever. Don't help me. But don't think this is the end of it. I watched him storm off, muttering under his breath, full of rage and wounded ego. As he climbed into his car, my phone buzzed again. A message from Mom. Jenna, what did you do? Tyler is furious. I rolled my eyes, shut the door, and finally sent the message I should have sent years ago. I'm done. Don't ever ask me for money again. I hit send, turned off my phone, and went on with my day. And for the first time in a long, long time, I felt peace. The next few days were quiet. Like, eerily quiet. Nobody reached out. No guilt trips. No phone calls. No desperate pleas. For a moment, it almost felt like they had accepted it, that I wasn't coming back to the role they'd assigned me. The bank. The fixer. The backup plan. It was strange at first, that silence. But also kind of beautiful. I didn't hear from Tyler. Nothing from Megan, either. And you know what? It was a relief. I focused on my work, my hobbies, my own well-being, and slowly I stopped thinking about them altogether. Then, about 2 weeks later, a message appeared. It was from Tyler. I messed up. I don't know what to do. Please, Jenna, help me. I stared at the message for a moment. But not because I was angry. Not because I was hurt. Because I felt nothing. I wasn't mad anymore. I wasn't sad. I had just moved on. I deleted the message without replying. The next day, I followed my usual routine, coffee, emails, morning walk, and I didn't give him another thought. And right there, in that small, quiet moment, I realized something important. For the first time in my life, I was living for me. No guilt. No obligations. No expectations hanging over my head. Just me. And that's exactly how I wanted it to stay.